Miraculous was an animated series that focused on two Parisian teenagers who transformed into superheroes. There was a girl named Marinette, who transformed into a ladybug, and a boy named Adrien who transformed into Cat Noir. It was first released in South Korea and later broadcasted to Disney Plus internationally. And without much further synopsis, today we shall look at all the characters who mostly majored throughout the show, then slightly talk about the cast members behind the voices and how old they are after 10 years. We start with Marinette Dupain, who was once a student in Miss Bustier's class at Françoise Dupont College in Paris. She was a girl with large dreams, as we saw that she was a budding fashion designer who wanted to own her very own brand. She was also a superhero who turned into Ladybug after being inhabited by a creature known as Tikki, and was actually the leader of the French Miraculous superhero team. In the first season, she was 13 years old, but in her adult life, she grew to be 24 years of age. She was a sweet and outgoing lady who always adored the world of fashion, and was also a kind-hearted and a fair soul to everyone. She was voiced by Cristina Valenzuela, who loves to go by the name Christina V, and is an American voice actress and a musical artist who mostly features in anime shows and video games. A boy named Adrien Agreste was a human sentimonster that was created by his late mother Emily Agreste from her emotions of love. He was also a former student of the same school Marinette attended, and was the famous hero known as Cat Noir after being inhabited by the miraculous Plagg. After losing his mother, he became cold and distant towards others, and bore a strong resentment towards his father after he got over his mother's demise and moved on. He also had a crush on Marinette, and admired her from a distance without mostly making a move. This boy was voiced by Bryce Papenbrook, who is an American voice actor, and is sometimes credited as Bryce Rothstein in some shows. Gabriel Agreste was the main antagonist of the show, who after getting inhabited by the butterfly Miraculous known as Nuru, transforms into the villainous hawk Moth with the full power of transmission. He was the husband to the late Emily Agreste, and the father to Adrien. He was also a famous fashion designer across Paris, and had a famous brand called Gabriel. He was in his 40s, and was a cold-hearted and a very strict gentleman who was extremely protective of his son Adrien. And even though he was a villain, the reason he was so successful was because of his determination and his hunger for glory. A man voiced by Keith Silverstein, who is an American voice actor, and is mostly known for his leading roles in Japanese anime and video games, and is also the one who voiced Vector the Crocodile in Sonic the Hedgehog. Tikki was the Kwami of creation who was connected to the Ladybug Miraculous, and the one who wore Tikki would transfer into the Ladybug-themed superhero, in this case, Marinette. She was calm and collected, and also very optimistic and kind to everyone she met. She was also very understanding towards others, and was never judgmental as she was willing to give others a second chance. Again, she was a good judge of character to those she chose as friends and some she considered misguided and dangerous. She was voiced by Mela Lee, who is an American voice actress that is based in Los Angeles, and you'd probably remember her as Jade in Mortal Kombat 11. Alya Césaire was also a former student of Françoise Dupont, and was Marinette's best friend. She was always energetic and passionate to everything, and always confident and adventurous girl who was also down to earth with every situation. The only thing she didn't tolerate was being undermined or doubted by others, especially when it came to her work. She loved being a reporter and the infamous blogger in town, and was also known to be very loyal and supportive to her friends. She was voiced by Carrie Karanen, who is an American voice actress, a producer, and a writer. Nino Lahiffe was the boyfriend of Alya Césaire and a good friend to Adrien. He was also a DJ and the head of the school radio. He was a tall and slender teenager with short dark brown hair, and always wore his signature red hat, which he hardly removed. He was a fun-loving and an enthusiastic boy who was also very friendly and compassionate with everyone. He enjoyed being a DJ in parties and hanging out with friends, and always knew when their friends were not feeling well. a caring lad voiced by the famous Benjamin Diskin, who is an American actor and voice actor, and is mostly voicing characters from anime, video games, and Western animations. Chloe Bourgeois was kind of the anti-hero or the central antagonist of the show. She was seen to be a rival of Marinette in their former school, and was also briefly the interim mayor of Paris after her father resigned from the job. As expected from a sassy girl, she believed that she was the most important person in the whole world and everyone adored her. She was also very bossy and egotistical, and was somehow evil, as we saw how miserable she wanted her rivals to be, and was one without mercy or kindness. Voiced by Selah Victor, who is an American actress and a comic book writer, and is also the one who voiced Queen Bee in this show as well. Plagg was the Kwami of destruction who was connected to the cat Miraculous. With his power, the host that wore the ring transformed into the black cat-themed hero. He was currently owned by Adrien, who used it to transform into the cat NOIR. He was a carefree and easygoing creature, and mostly a very lazy and overindulgent fella who made bad decisions which landed him in bad situations. He was voiced by Max Mittelman, who is an American voice actor who, just like Benjamin Diskin, also provides voices for anime and video games. Mr. Xavier Ramier was a recurring character, and was a basic man who loved pigeons. In a certain episode, we saw that he got akumatized by Moth and became Mr. Pigeon, the pigeon-controlling supervillain. He was just a kind and cheerful man who loved to take care of pigeons, and would often go to the park to feed them. He was also friendly towards others, and always showed respect to everyone he encountered. He was voiced by Todd Haberkern, who is an American voice actor and director. Nathalie Sancoeur served mostly as a minor antagonist and an anti-hero in some seasons of the show. She was a former treasure hunter of magical objects and later became Gabriel Agreste's assistant in his fashion work. He also took care of Adrien back when he was young. She was an average adult, probably in her early 30s, and was a serious and a formal woman who worked very diligently in her field of work. She had a cold and distant demeanor, and did not often show her emotions publicly. She was voiced by Sabrina Wise, who is a writer, a teacher, and a former voice actress. Some other minor characters who got involved in the show included Alya Césaire, who was a French TV host and a good friend to some of the characters in the show. Audrey Bourgeois was a famous director of the fashion magazine known as Style Queen, and was the mother of Chloe, who we discussed before. Kagami Tsurugi was a Japanese student who appeared in Season 2, and was the girl we saw playing fence with Adrien Agreste. Jagged Stone was a popular rock star who was akumatized by Moth and became a guitar-playing villain. Manon Chamak was the daughter of a woman known as Nadia, and was the girl we saw Marinette babysitting. Mylene Hapriel was a former student of the same college we keep mentioning, and was also akumatized by Moth and became the Horrificator. Lila Rossi, also known as Cerise Bianca, was a minor antagonist of the show who was just a disturbing character. Kaki was the Kwami of migration who was connected to the horse Miraculous. And Wang Fu, who was a former healer and the great guardian of the Miraculous.